Right now, at 6, a 911 system stretched thin regains its footing and earns national recognition.
We're digging out of it.
Plus, the uncertainty ahead as 2 local homeless shelters prepare to close for good.
People are anxious, people are scared.
Then, Oregon takes a stand as fear spreads in immigrant communities.
And we must stay united together to protect our neighbors.
And later, the old friend once again watching over downtown Portland.
You know, I'm happy to see him looking like he always did.
But first to breaking news and a standoff situation in southeast Portland that's had a major street blocked for several blocks since about 2:30 this afternoon. Let's get out to our Alma McCarty live near Southeast Division and 45th with the very latest. Alma.
Yeah, Christine, we are out here, and really that barricade or the police tape is around 45th to 42nd, but the roads between 46th and 41st on Division are blocked off to many travelers this afternoon. People who are coming home from work and seeing this is still out here. Lots and lots of police due to a man barricaded inside of his apartment who appears to be armed and to be in crisis. Obviously, lots of police officers and as well as firefighters out here because, as it turns out, the maintenance man for the building, this is how it all began. He smelled smoke inside and alerted fire and rescue, and it turns out some of the neighbors smelled that smoke too. Then that maintenance man, he went with the fire crews to this unit in particular. That's when they were confronted by the suspect with an edged weapon. That is all police will say at this point about that weapon. Firefighters then retreated, that is protocol, and called PPB for backup. They determined there was no fire danger, no fire inside of the unit, so they backed off, and now we're having some crisis negotiators and the CERT team work to safely get this man out of the unit. Now, according to PPB, though, this suspect is somebody who is known to officers.
Our officers are familiar with him. I don't know if these specific officers have dealt with him or not, but there's a history of dealing with him, and so in some ways that's good because it allows us some of that context. We're not flying blind, so to speak, when we're engaged in these negotiations. We're also reaching out to his family, and medical staff that know him, friends, neighbors, therapists, anybody that we can that might help us de-escalate the situation.
Now, I can tell you that there are no injuries to report at this time. However, there is some growing frustration among the neighbors who do live in this building since they are still evacuated. They were evacuated when all of this began around 2 o'clock this afternoon. We are still watching this. No changes really yet to report, but we will keep you updated as we learn more. Christine, back to you.
Yeah, hopeful for a peaceful resolution there. Alma McCarty reporting live in Southeast Portland. Thank you, Alma. Okay, now to a major turnaround for 911 dispatchers in Portland, now considered some of the best in the world. The Portland Bureau of Emergency Communications earned accreditation this week after years of low staffing and long wait times. Our Evan Watson joins us now to break down these changes. Evan.
Yeah, Christine, we spent years covering the struggles and honestly the frustrations with Portland's 911 dispatch system. Calls reached record levels after the pandemic. BOAC didn't have enough dispatchers, and community members waited on hold. Now, dispatchers are celebrating a major turnaround and a reward for their efforts.
Okay, I understand. Do you need to speak with police?
I know what we're delivering to the community is absolutely top-notch.
In emergency situations, seconds matter, but the quality of care does too.
We are pretty good at what we do, and that comes from a high level of training and care about the job and the work that we're doing.
Portland dispatchers just earned accreditation from the International Academy of Emergency Dispatch, meeting medical standards that puts BOAC in the top 10% of more than 4,000 agencies worldwide. It's a source of pride for Ryan Desjardins, the quality assurance manager.
Absolutely, a third-party validation. You know, we can say we're good till we're blue in the face, but someone coming in and really validating that.
At the same time, BOAC is celebrating a major turnaround from the pits of low staffing and long call wait times.
It's been a rough couple years for us and the community. When they call 911, no one should expect to hold. We're digging out of it.
In 2022, 911 callers waited more than a minute on average before a dispatcher answered. That average fell to 24 seconds in 2025, and most 911 calls are now answered within 15 seconds. Average wait times for the non-emergency line have dropped from 17 minutes to 3 minutes and 40 seconds, helped by a collaboration with 311. BOEC dispatcher Stephen Zipprich says people have noticed.
And that's come up in some calls that I've gotten. You know, thanks for answering my call. Thanks for taking my call. Wow, that was fast. I wasn't on hold for as long. You know, and that is a really great feeling.
Interim BOEC Director Stephen Maudsley credits the addition and the retention of dozens of new dispatchers.
I'm hopeful that when someone needs to call our bureau for service, either on 911 or non-emergency, that they don't have any wait time. So that's where we're headed.
Quicker responses, a recognition of top-tier service, and a better work environment for dispatchers.
Morale is certainly higher when their calls aren't holding. Morale is a lot higher because we don't have that stress.
Also means that community members can rest a bit easier.
I'm here because I want to help people.
BOEC leaders tell me they received accreditation. Now their job is to keep it.
Yeah, absolutely. And Evan, what do we know about how many 911 calls these dispatchers are actually receiving? Has that changed?
It has changed, and that's also another contributing factor here to these changes in performance that we've seen. The number of 911 calls to BOEC peaked in 2023 at about 655,000. And then since then, year after year, they've decreased 5% each year. So with fewer 911 calls, that helps dispatchers and their workloads. And ultimately, when I asked why, the director said it's tough to say, but one of the reasons could be that people aren't calling, getting frustrated, hanging up and calling back again, you know, then adding more stress to the system. That's one of the examples for why this could be a contributing factor.
Interesting. Well, I know that you've done a lot of reporting on this, our Kyle Aboshi as well, over a number of years, so appreciate you bringing us the update. Thank you, Evan.
Yeah.
In your headlines, the medical examiner has identified the two people confirmed dead following that car crash into the Willamette River. They are 19-year-old Roberto Garcia Chavez and 17-year-old Trent Badillo. Both are from the Beaver Creek area. Investigators believe Garcia Chavez was the driver of the car. A third occupant who was rescued from the river has been confirmed as a 17-year-old boy, but he is not being identified right now. The fourth occupant, who still has not been found, is believed to be a 20-year-old man. And authorities hope you can help them find a former Gresham police officer turned fugitive now who is facing dozens of sex crimes charges. A Multnomah County grand jury indicted Hector Carranza last year on 56 charges, including rape, sodomy, and sex abuse, all involving minors. He posted bail and was released with an ankle monitor, but investigators say he cut it off last month and now is on the run. There is a nationwide warrant out for his arrest. Anyone with information should contact the Multnomah County Sheriff's Office. In Portland, police are trying to figure out how a car got lodged into the front of the Multnomah Athletic Club and hit a pedestrian along the way. It happened just before 7 o'clock last night. Portland police say the driver sideswiped another car on Southwest Salmon Street, then veered into a planter box at the club entrance. The person hit was taken to the hospital but should survive. Police say the driver is cooperating with the investigation and there were no signs of impairment. Matt?
Thank you very much, Christine. Boy, another beautiful day around the Northwest, especially in the valleys here, but the coast too. Some scattered high clouds beginning to show up on the central coast. I'll show you why in a minute. 63 degrees there now. Winds out of the northwest. They are onshore, but boy, another amazing day. Looking south from our Skycam at Timberline Live to Mount Hood National Forest, that's the top of Mount Jefferson being dwarfed by these thunderstorm clouds that have been developing across central and southern Oregon during the afternoon. It's 53 degrees up there at 6,000 feet at Timberline Live. But look, still a couple of lightning strikes north of Oak Ridge here. And when I zoom out, you can see there's a whole bunch down across southern Oregon from Canyonville to Medford, east of Medford. Activity is beginning to wane now that the sun angle is dropping a little bit lower. But we're going to see this all bubble up again tomorrow and likely a little farther north and a little farther west, and that means the Portland area has a chance of getting a thunderstorm or certainly a shower tomorrow. The edge of the real threat is just east of us, so we'll keep an eye on this during the afternoon with radar tomorrow. But again, there is a chance of afternoon showers and thunderstorms tomorrow, so we'll call that a weather impact alert from 4 to 8 p.m. tomorrow. brief downpours, hail, lightning, all possible. Of course, if you get a thunderstorm, high water, if we get a downpour, there could be some local ponding of water in some low-lying intersections. So we'll keep an eye on that for tomorrow. But tonight, Christine, all systems go. It's a beautiful night.
Okay, thank you, Matt.
It's the beginning of downtown coming back. It's a very, very important day.
Loved the antlers that he was wearing there. A long time coming for the return of the Thompson Elk statue in downtown Portland after it was damaged during protests in 2020. Our John Adams was there today as the 126-year-old statue was reinstalled. He joins us live downtown. John, how'd it go?
Well, Christine, the return of the elk drew huge crowds as people came out to see the return of a piece of Portland history. While some say this is more than a statue, it's a sign downtown Portland is making a comeback. The 9-foot-tall statue, commissioned by one of the first mayors in the city, was built in 1900 and was a fixture in Portland for 120 years before it was damaged during protest in 2020. It was then removed by the city, where it underwent a restoration to remove scratches and graffiti. Work also began to figure out how the statue would be reintroduced into downtown. The $1.8 million project was ultimately carried out to refurbish the fountain base, with construction beginning in early summer 2025. And earlier this morning, amongst a crowd of onlookers, the elk was hoisted onto the base to the sound of cheers. One person we spoke with sees the elk's return as a metaphor for the city as a whole.
I think it's symbolic of Portland being a bruised city, and now it's trying to stiffen back up and become alive again. So it's beautiful to see.
So some loose ends with construction over the next couple days to finish the installation process. And then on Sunday at 1 p.m. there's going to be a community event right here celebrating the return of the elk. Should be a lot of fun. Christine?
Yeah, the wait is over. Thank you, John.